and welcome to Knit All the Things. My name is Laurel. I'm also known as West Maven on Instagram, Ravelry, and here. If you're new, this is a space where I talk about all the things I'm knitting, all the things I want to knit, all things yarn, just all the things. And if you're returning, welcome back, Knitting Bestie. I can't wait to catch up with you. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you my finished Aika sweater. This is a pattern by Megumi Shinagawa, and I really enjoyed it. I'm going to share with you all the details and some of the changes that I did make, as well as share with you a new cast on. I have some works in progress that just seem to be getting a little out of hand. So I'm going to kind of talk about my future knitting plans and some of the things I think I'm going to spend some time on. So if that sounds interesting to you, grab your knitting or your project, get cozy, and let's go. Okay, real quickly before we get too into it, I do have a newsletter. So if you're interested in anything that I share today, you can sign up for the newsletter and it just emails you kind of like the show notes, if you will, all the patterns I talk about in the yarn, etc. And there's a link to that in the description, as well as I did create a video for the Seattle Flock Fiber Festival that I attended last weekend. So if you're interested in that, I will link that video below as well. So let's get started. Okay, so I am wearing the Aika. This is a pattern by Megumi Shinagawa. It was featured in the Autumn 2024 Lina magazine and the cover, and it is an all-over lace sweater that has quite a large gauge, and I'll kind of talk through some of the things that I did differently. So one of the things that I decided to do differently on this sweater, I'm gonna find a good picture of it, maybe this one is a good one. So if you look at the back of the sweater, there's quite a tall neckline, and I decided not to do that. I basically did one round of the like neckband instructions, and then I went straight into my lace because I didn't want it so high up on my neck. So I have a quite a bit bigger, I think, neckline than the sweater, and it's also quite a bit lower. The other thing that I did differently was maybe you guys can chime in. I think I am going to reblock this sweater, but the sleeves, I can kind of pull them down. I think I could block it more like lengthwise stretched. But right now it keeps wanting to like shrink up. So I either need to rip back the cuff and just knit another lace section and then do a cuff or something, or just try to reblock it and see if that maybe solves some of my problems. Because I feel like when I kind of tug on it, it can be certainly longer, but it just seems like as I'm wearing it to kind of shorten. So if you have any thoughts on that, let me know. Also, I will get into more detail in a minute, but this is a suri and a like sparkly lace weight held together. It is rather warm. It is summer and I am filming this on a warmer day, but I kind of thought I could handle it. It is quite warm right now, but we'll talk about that later. So the other like modification I did was that big kind of neckband was going to be also mirrored for the body hem as well as the sleeve. So the sleeve I did not, again, do as long as a kind of cuff. I didn't do as long as a hem, and I didn't do as long as a neckline. I just think this neckline's a little bit more flattering for me, but not to say that the other way is not good. It's just kind of how I just chose to do it. I really am pleased that you do see the lace. I'm sure it would be more visible had I not used the sparkly yarn, but still I think it looks rather nice. And I certainly could see this being a quote unquote like fancy sweater, but to be honest, I would wear it a lot of times during the year. It's a nice sweater. Like I'm really pleased on how this turned out. I did use the sparkly yarn is from Good Yarn. It's a store in Portland that you can buy yarn on the cones or by grams. You have a 50 gram minimum. I would have to go back and see how much yarn that I ended up actually using, but it was considerably less than I thought. I think I only used 3 of the suri skeins, and I ended up using Plymouth Suri Stratus in a black colorway, and then just some of my sparkle yarn. I have a lot of it left. A lot of you reached out because I had mentioned I would like to just rehome it, but a lot of you reached out. So I'm trying to think of a like fair way of doing it. So I'll have to get back to you on that. But yeah, so the pattern itself is very simple to understand. There are, you know, sections where you're doing increases on the yoke, but I do really like the fact that the directions are showing both written directions and charts, and the actual charts, instead of it being kind of like, so some sweaters have like a yoke chart. So you're having like all these sections will be in one chart that you're trying to follow. And this one broke them up. So it was like section A, section B. And then of course you end up using different parts in various parts of the sweater. So that's also a clever kind of way of doing it. But it also meant that sometimes I'll do this, not always, but I'll either just take a picture on my phone of just like that piece of the chart so that I just have it with me in case I don't remember. Although this one was very intuitive, like you could definitely see where you were, you knew what was coming. So once you kind of went through it a little bit, to me, it was easy to like read your knitting. But either way, I would have that little like snapshot on my phone, because sometimes carrying around the magazine isn't always the best. But I felt like for being an all over lace sweater, it was somewhat portable. I'm trying to think of what other things I could tell you. I do think that you could use up to a DK. Like I said, this is 2 lace weight held together. You could probably, just depending on how you like your fabric, play around with the gauge and yarn to see what would, you know, be your preference. But it is a very light and airy sweater, and it really, it is such a nice one. I do know that people also just used only like 1 strand of like a fluffy yarn. So there's options for you. But yeah, one more time I'll show you guys. I really think it turned out nice. I really love the length of the body. So I think the length of the sleeves isn't bad. And like I said, maybe I can just, I really can't remember when I blocked it. Like part of me is like, did I block it? I don't remember. I want to say I did. But either way, I probably could stretch out the arms a little bit, because I think they're plenty wide, and maybe I'll be happy. Because really stretched out, they're fine. It's when they're kind of doing a weird thing and they just kind of start to do that. And then I'm like, oh, I wish they were kind of longer by like a lot. So I don't want to like overkill, pull it out and then make it longer and then find out that now I have like, straight jacket arms. But at the same time, I do want it to be comfortable. I really hate it when I'm pulling on my sleeves because they're just a little bit short. So I've got to wear it a little bit, probably not right now, because like I said, it is very warm, and kind of see how that feels. So that was my finished sweater. I'm going to then share with you guys some of my works in progress that have been paused, and then the item that's taking most of my attention, and some of my kind of future plans. So it is right now August, so if you're watching this farther in the future, maybe that'll give you some context. But it is kind of right now, at least, even though it's the 2nd week of August, to me it's like time to get everything ready for school. And this time of year, I especially start to think of like wanting to make my kids a sweater. And I have a lot of stash, so I'm kind of thinking that I will make my kids sweaters. And I was kind of reflecting on ones that they liked in the past. So I like to take a very basic sweater and either do stripes or do, something pretty simple and mindless for their sweaters. So my youngest favorite sweater of all time was the Mini Woodwardia. This was featured in Mini Pom Pom book. And I did a test knit for it. I made 2. And both my kids really liked this sweater. I think one of the things that really stood out for me and for them, and what made it something that they were drawn to, was that it was a sport weight sweater. So previously I had done the Seaside sweater. I've done a couple of other like petite knit sweaters for them that are DK weight. And it seems to me their preference is sport weight. We live in Portland, Oregon. The weather is what I would call pretty mild for most of the autumn and winter. It doesn't get to freezing too often or even really snow. So a sport weight sweater is kind of perfect. It's a great layering. They can still put their coat on and not be too hot, all those things. So I'm considering doing another sport weight or even a fingering weight sweater for them because I just think they'll wear it more. The other thing with their clothing is that they get very picky on how it feels. So I've made them both superwash merino sweaters, and my oldest thinks it's a bit itchy, which is fine. Last year I made him a yak blend sweater, which he thought was soft, but then it ended up being on the warmer side. So I'm still kind of troubleshooting a sweater for him because I want him to wear it if I make it for him, and I want him to be comfortable and really like it. And then for my youngest, because the oldest got a yak sweater, he also got that, and he wore his quite a bit more because if I make him something, he will wear it to like a unhealthy level of like, it's almost summer and you're wearing a sweater. Like, I love you, but, and it's such a compliment, but he doesn't need to wear it that much. So I want to like think of fiber content that will work really well for them. I've also thought of doing maybe a cotton blend for my oldest, like maybe that will feel better to him, but he has definitely a sensitivity to just like textures and feels. So I just want to keep that in mind. But that is kind of on all of a sudden, like this week I thought, oh, I should make them a sweater and it should be done in 2 weeks. I don't know what to do with that. I don't even know if I have the time, but it's now on my mind, and so I'm going to be kind of looking into that and maybe talking with them and seeing what will work better for them. Okay, the other, oh, and actually, before I move on from that, Midori Hirose does have a sweater that I have made called White Mountains Light, and I do think I could also use that pattern. It's a compound raglan, and it's made kind of unisex and all the way to very small kid sizes. So I also have had that in my mind as like another option for a sweater. Okay, so just to kind of remind you of what my current whips are, and then I'll show you the like newer sweater. So right now I have the Diamond Jacket by Ann Wenzel, and I have part of a sleeve done, but not much more than that. But I do think I'm gonna drag this sweater up to my room so that when I have like evening knitting, I think I'm gonna try to get some more of this done, because it is now becoming the time of year where if I could get this done sooner rather than later, I'll actually wear it quite a bit, I think, over the winter. So there's that. This is a knit flat cardigan, and it has a finished button band kind of along, I guess this is the button band. So yeah, it has a finished kind of as you go button band, but with no buttons. So I did think that if I wanted to do anything, I could add those like clasps things, but I don't know if I will. Or you could even do like snaps if you really wanted it to close. So that's that. I'm using Knit Picks Wonder Fluff yarn in the colorway Wellies, which is like a heathered dark charcoal gray. And then my other kind of work in progress that I've moved kind of the time frame in which I would like to see this sweater done. I think it would be really, it's attached to the camera, so I'm gonna just carefully show this. This is the Antique Filigree by Rachel Ilsley, which, can we see it very well? I feel like the lighting is not as good as normal. I've had to move everything kind of around, and now I'm like not confident in my setup today. But either way, there you go. It's a really pretty colorwork sweater. While it's not an all-over colorwork sweater, it does have a very deep yoke, and then it does have colorwork on the arms and then down the body. So the majority of the sweater is colorwork, but not like the entire thing, which I feel like is kind of one of her signatures, and I really like it. And then I'm using Diamond Lane Shed fingering in the colorway Martin, and it's a 60% merino, 40% Romney. And it's this like beautiful kind of navy. and then a bunch of spin cycle yarns. I'm not sure how I'm kind of planning on choosing the colors further as I go, which also is part of the reason I've paused on that. And then my latest whip that has taken up most of the time. So this one is really, it's been a lot of fun. This is a test knit for Claudia Quintanilla. This pattern, I think, is going to be out at the end of the month. I have never in my life, A, started a test so late, and because I was trying to finish the sweater, and B, like, so many people are done. I'm giving myself grace here, but like, I have never. I'm almost always like, if I'm testing something, one of the first people done, because it is all that I do while I'm doing a test, which is also why I don't do very many tests anymore, because I just don't. But this one, I saw the sweater. It's so pretty. I love Claudia's designs. This one, I'm knitting a size medium. It's kind of an oversized all over texture. I think once I finish the mohair I'm on, which I'm almost done with this ball, I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna do the neckband, because I want to see more realistically how this is gonna fit. It's got I think, well, I don't know for sure. I should have read the pattern a little bit more thoroughly, but I think it has a folded over neckband and it's quite tall, which I think will be really beautiful. The yarn that I am using is Sandiscarn 10 Silk Mohair in the colorway Steel Gray. And I'm using Brooklyn Tweed Veil, which is one. Brooklyn Tweed doesn't exist anymore, and Veil was a discontinued yarn from a while ago. I do think you could still find it on like some Ravelry stashes, but it is, I think, a Romney. I should look up the content, but it's a really bouncy wool yarn, and I believe it's non-superwash. And it also is very, like, I would say a pretty good, like, for a lace. I still think it's quite, I guess, fluffy for a lace. I don't know if this is, I don't think it's focusing. Okay, guys, nope. Okay, it's very thin, very fluffy for a lace, in my opinion. And it's been deep stash for me. I've had it now, I know I bought it since 2020, but I don't know if it was like 2021, like around there. So it's been, I've had it quite a while. I ended up getting, because it was like, I think one of those like closeouts of the yarn, I bought 3 colors. So I have this color, I have like a medium blue, and then almost like a wine color. And it's really nice yarn. I wish it was still around. But I do believe when I was looking up to give information for the last podcast, I do think that I also linked, at least in the newsletter, options that I had found that had similar fiber content and that still existed. So if it is the type, like if this yarn sounds delicious to you, then there are options. It's not like it's the only one ever made. But saying that, I'm really excited to get this done and to really block it, because right now I think it's showing a lot of like nice stitch definition, but it isn't like soft and flowy at the moment. But that is also just because it isn't blocked. And you can kind of see I did block, or I did steam maybe like this much of it. So you can, it kind of gives you an idea that it'll like be a little bit more flat laying, a little more drapey, if you will. So this has been fun. I've been working on this quite a bit. I finally split for sleeves, and so I feel like it's going to be much faster to get done. I did have some struggles, and it has nothing to do with the pattern, but more having to do with my brain. It is a compound raglan, and so had I just used stitch markers to mark out where my increases were when I was doing it, I wouldn't have had this problem. But I did use like 2 different colors. So for like the arm stitches, I had like a yellow stitch marker on either side. And then for the body, I had blue ones on the other side of the raglan, and that did help, but I still, like, in some places needed to increase on the body, but not the sleeves, and I certainly made mistakes and I had to go back. So that part took me a while, but now that I'm done with that, it's pretty straightforward, just knitting and pattern till the end. I have no idea how long this is going to take me because I kind of thought I would be faster, but I also feel like I have had a lot going on and have been very tired, but like while I'm knitting, so I haven't like focused as well. So we'll see. I'm not going to put my pressure on myself to have this done, but I would like to have a good portion of it done. So I think once I run out of that mohair, I'm going to work on the neckband and then maybe a sleeve just to like move it around, because sometimes I get more sleeve island feeling on the body than I do anything else. So when I kind of like knit a sleeve and then go back to the body, I feel a lot more accomplished than when I'm trying to just do the body forever. But it is turning out well. I do think like on this side, you definitely can see the line where the sweater was steamed a little. I think it's going to be really pretty. This color is also not the most inspiring to knit for me, but I do think it will be beautiful to wear. So it has become a little bit of a, a product knit rather than a process knit at this point. But also the fun bits are done, like the raglan shaping. The really fun detail to me is this like cable in the raglan. I think it's really pretty. And of course the texture. Really beautiful, beautiful pullover. Claudia also has, I believe, a like skirt that also goes with the pullover, so you could have a whole set, which would be really, really cute. So I'll keep you guys posted on this. And that's about it. I don't have any yarn necessarily things to show you guys right now. I do have, like I said, the video that I just made. Next podcast, I believe the latest issue of Lina magazine will be coming out. I'm going to review that for you guys. Those are some of my favorite episodes. And also kind of, I think I need to revisit my stash and kind of organize some things, because there is a lot that I want to knit. There's a lot that I just can't remember is there because I can't see it. I definitely forget that I have things that I can't see. So I kind of feel like I need to go, I keep looking this way, but I have a glass yarn cabinet here that I have a lot of my stash in, but a lot less like sweater quantities. Sweater quantities I keep in like bins. And what I think I need to do, because I've stared at this for a while and I haven't used it so much, that I think I need to pull some things out and store them and put some of the things in storage out, just so that one, I remember that they're there, and two, like I think it will spark some inspiration as well. I also really want this winter to make more cardigans still. Like I definitely need them in my wardrobe. It's something that I wear the most of anything that I knit. And I really I do think I need to make more effort in making those rather than pullovers. Pullovers to me are kind of fun because they're less purling. But I don't wear them as much. Like you wear them as much as you can wear them, but I have a lot of them. So I think I would benefit from spending time finding some really cute cardigan patterns that I want to make. If you guys have any suggestions or any of your favorite cardigan patterns, I would love to hear about it if you want to drop them in the comments below. I also have another pattern kind of roundup video coming that I've been working on, so keep your eyes peeled for that. If you are subscribed to my channel, but you haven't been seeing the videos, because I have been making them very consistently once every 2 weeks. If for some reason they're not popping up in your feed, make sure you hit the bell icon in this and you'll get notified when I do post a video, but I do try to post them on Sundays in the morning. So I make these every 2 weeks. If we are not yet knitting besties, make sure to hit the subscribe button and please like this video. It tells YouTube that other fiber enthusiasts like yourself enjoy this type of content. And of course, if you have a knitting bestie, make sure to share it with them. Until next time, make some yarn magic. Bye!
gonna